The great eight.
And go in and pick the best guy that fits our team.
I can get my running back to the safety and he can do this.
And I don't care what Fred says, you know your stuff. Commanders family, welcome back. We have a great show for you as always. We are talking the top 5 players in this year's NFL draft, and luckily our Commanders don't got nothing to do with the top 5 this year. It's a great position to be in. Then we bring in Sean Springs, Fred Smoot's best friend. Sean Springs joins the show to talk about free agency and all things draft. Then we end the show showing love to one of the GOATs. Alex Ovechkin made history, and we're talking all about it. And we ask the question, is he the GOAT of all DMV sports? Stay tuned. It all starts right now. Welcome into Command Center, Commanders family. Brian Cobra Jr. here with Santana Moss, Fred Smoot, and the great Logan Paulson. And speaking of great, you see we in the Caps gear, and that's for one reason only. Alex Ovechkin breaking that record with 895 goals scored. I had to double check to make sure the numbers were right.
But I'm really waiting for the 900. Right? I'm saying I'm waiting for 900 because then it's like a whole nother stratosphere from what Wayne Gretzky did. So the great 8, congratulations. You are the best. And here's a question for y'all guys. Is he the best athlete ever in the DMV?
Now, don't answer that just yet. We are going to talk about Ovi a little more later in the show. However, you mentioned Wayne Gretzky, and I thought it was fly that he made sure he was in attendance for that, man. How cool is it to see almost that passing of the torch, if you will, Logan, when you see a guy be able to break that record?
I mean, Wayne Gretzky's got that reputation of being just super gracious, even though he's probably Michael Jordan plus in hockey. When you look at his assists, you look at the total goals, man, that guy's stats are out of this world. So he's always been a class act, always been a great ambassador for the sport, and it's great that he was there to kind of acknowledge the moment for
to hand the torch off right there.
And Tanner, before we got started, you said it. You said the reason you've even been to hockey games before is because of him, man. How important is he to everything going on around here?
I think it's just big, man, especially to have a guy as big as Ovi in our city. You know, you've been around, I've been around so many other athletes outside of what we do. And those guys are a-holes. Some of them don't want to be, honestly, some of them don't want to be cool with you. They feel like they're bigger than you. Every time I've been around Ovi and his presence, man, he love us. He come watch us play. I remember my first time in the studio doing a show for NBC. He was the first guy I had on my show, and he didn't talk to media, but he wanted to talk to me. So it's great to honestly know him, but then to see these guys is up there with one of the greats of the world in his sport and then in our area,
And Commanders family, we will dive in more to this amazing record and talk about what this means for the DMV. I feel like the sports are back. And when you look at what Ovi was able to do for the Capitals, we hope that Jaden Daniels is able to do the same thing for the Commanders. And a big part of that is our GM, Adam Peters, and him talking to like-minded individuals. And that like-minded individual is no other than Fred Smoot. Him and Adam Peters caught up on the Get Loud podcast. Let's check it out right now.
2 draft gurus.
It's time for the best seat in the house, presented by SeatGeek. The most disruptive idea in ticketing, a ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek.
The way you go about free agency, do you go about as aggressive as you get things done in free agency because you want to have a more free-flowing draft? You don't want to corner yourself in the draft. You want to go in and say, you know what? If I want to go best player available, I don't care who it is.
Yeah, I think you always want to go into a draft with that mindset, and you never really want to go into a draft saying, I need to draft this position or this player, because that's, oftentimes that's when you make a mistake. When you reach for a guy, you talk yourself into a guy being better than he is just because you need it so bad. So we feel really good that we don't have to reach for a certain position or player. We can go in and pick the best guy that fits our team at any position, really.
Yep, and I think that's very smart. I think that's very awesome Newsom of you right there. I like that right there.
Always great to hear our self-proclaimed draft guru, Fred Smoot, sitting with the NFL's draft guru, Adam Peters, on the Get Loud podcast. Fred, I gotta imagine you even more excited about the draft now, getting to sit with him.
Oh, most definitely. And if y'all want to see that interview, tune in to Get Loud. It was a great interview. I learned a lot. You can learn a lot. The one thing I like to do is pick the brain of smart people. That's why I don't talk to Logan much. and the more you talk to smart people, you get to soak up their view about how they do things.
That's not true. Fred Smoot talks to Logan Paulson all the time. You know what? Let's take a look at what AP and company did in last year's draft. Let's look at those top 5 picks. It's time for Top 5, presented by UA Local 5 Plumbers. protecting the health of the nation's capital since 1890. Now, taking a look at these pick fellas, Caleb at Williams at #1. Then, of course, that man, J.D. Daniels at #2. Then Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., and then offensive lineman and Joe Alt. 3 quarterbacks taken with the top 3 picks, fellas. Let's get right into it right now because it sounds like the consensus #1 overall pick is going to be Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans. Logan, you in the room, man. You in the film room constantly. Do you feel that's the right move for the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, I do. I mean, is he the best player? Like, if you're doing your big board, right, you're kind of 1 to 100. Is he #1? Probably not. But, you know, like when you got a quarterback and you're doing that evaluation, you kind of multiply it by 1.2. And with that multiplication, you're probably at the #1 pick. And again, there's no position that's going to have a larger impact on your franchise than the quarterback. So he's the best quarterback in the draft this year. It does feel like in this year specifically, he warrants that #1 selection. He's talented. He's got some playmaking ability. He's got the ability to throw from multiple spots. He's got a little bit of athleticism to extend the play. So it feels like the right move, especially for an organization like Tennessee that's been starved for a quarterback for so long.
Well, you know, unlike the math teacher right here, I don't need all of that analytics in here. Sometimes players just they pass the eye test. No, he said, you know, 2 times 2 equals 4, guys.
1.2. 1.2 times your draft grade, and that gets you to the.
And listen, if I'm Tennessee, I say I need a quarterback. Cam is the best quarterback in the draft. And here's the thing about it is, when you're drafting a quarterback this high, you got to ask yourself, is he a guy, is he a force multiplier? That means, does he make people better around him, or does he need everything to be perfect around him to make people better? I think he's a force multiplier. So therefore, if I'm Tennessee, I run that up there. I run to the podium and get that in. Right now, I want him drafted. Now the question is, what do you do with Will Levis? It's a lot of quarterback stuff.
Mayonnaise man.
Yeah, the mayonnaise man. It's a lot of quarterback star teams that'll take a chance. A Pittsburgh, a Cleveland might take a chance on a Will Levis to see what they can get out of him.
Yeah.
And Tanner, do you feel like after seeing what the Commanders were able to accomplish, getting that franchise quarterback and turning everything around, do you think that puts pressure on teams coming into this draft to say, you know what, we need our guy, we need our franchise quarterback? Do you see maybe some quarterbacks sneaking into that top 5 that shouldn't be there just because of how good Jaden Daniels did?
I mean, I'm pretty sure every team looking at it like, look, in order for us to compete, we have to have a quarterback. We have to have that guy who's going to make, like what, you know, Fred just alluded to, a force multiplier who's going to make everybody else better. But you don't go reaching for them. You know what I mean? If they're not there,
they reach all the time.
You get what's available. And I feel like if they're not there, you have a pick early and you don't have that guy there, then you sit back and say, hey, maybe down the road, if somebody pops up, then we deal with that. Or can we get them through trade, or like what he talked about, getting somebody from another team. But in the draft, man, especially this draft, you don't have many that you can say, hey, we have the 2nd or 3rd pick, top 5 pick. We're going to go get this guy. No, you don't have that kind of draft. Last year, we had one of those drafts where any one of those guys could have been, you know, in those top, you know, slots. So I look at it like, yes, if I'm a team that needs one, I need him. But I got to have him right. He got to be available. If he's not available, I got to go elsewhere.
And Logan, to Tanner's point, now, Commanders family, you could see the picks and the teams at the top 5 behind us right now. Now, with that lack of quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Do you see more movement happening in these top 5 picks? Not a lot of movement last year, but do you see movement happening with the lack of quarterback?
I don't think so. I think you give up a lot of draft assets to move up multiple spots because the quarterback is the force multiplier.
Yeah.
That's the most valuable piece on the chessboard. And so when there's nobody like that, now there are some really talented football players. There's blue chippers and Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. Those guys are special football players.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to mortgage multiple draft picks, multiple opportunities for trades, for players, to say that this guy's going to change my franchise the way a quarterback's going to change the franchise. So that's what I'd say to that is, as good as those guys are, they're not a quarterback. They can't have the impact on the roster the same way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because 2 positions that move the draft that people move up for and move back for is offensive lineman and quarterback. Yeah. Well, that seems to be the weak part of this draft. Would you agree with me on that? So I think everybody stays put. Unless you want to, like, if somebody wants to move up to try to get a 2nd first-round pick, I think that's when you start to see something happen when it comes to trades and stuff. If somebody want to make a move for Dart at Ole Miss, if somebody say, this Jackson Dart is my guy, I want to make a move for him, that's when I start to think you see something late.
Well, I think that's why they pick at 29 for the Commanders is so interesting, because there are teams like that might value Jackson Dart with a first-round grade because of that 5th-year option, because of the impact the quarterback has. And so that's where, again, like, I don't know how your board looks like, but I kind of feel like between 20 and 40, it's kind of the same level of player.
Yeah, it is.
So the Commanders could trade out, gain more draft capital, and really build, have an opportunity to build the team through the draft more extensively.
I never paid so much close attention to the draft, even when as a player. But this draft seems to be like one of those
funky drafts.
It's funky, man.
It got some star power.
You've always heard of guys, outside of the quarterback room where this guy was a phenomenal player, an athlete. So this team is waiting for that kind of player.
Yeah.
Now it seems like who cares about that wide receiver or that running back or that dual threat guy.
Yeah.
They want quarterback or not. You know what I mean? Or nothing. So it's just tricky, man, to see how far we've come when it comes to just, it's so much about quarterbacks, and this year hasn't really been that big on quarterbacks, man. It's going to be interesting to see how things pan out.
Tanner, to your point, a very intriguing draft. I think all of us can't wait to see what happens in those first couple days. And you got to knock it out the park when you have a first-round pick and a second-round pick. And these guys, a couple of them, were first and second-round picks. And if you ask me, I feel like these teams knocked it out the park with these guys. Now, of course, Sean Springs being drafted by Seattle. 3 overall. That is the highest a defensive back has ever gone. And he does not fail to remind us.
No. He's going to let you know. He'll call you at 11 o'clock at night. By the way, I went number 3.
They're the most humble guy on our staff right now. Santana Moss going number 16, which in my opinion was way too low. You were supposed to, brother, but you know what? You made it happen. And then, of course, the mouth of the South.
Talk myself
Fred
out.
Smoot.
Being in the first round.
Went in the second round. Number 45 overall. Fred, what did you tell John Gruden when you had that meeting with him?
Hey, first of all, the world is covered 70% by water, and I cover the rest. He was like, get out of my office.
That is my favorite quote. And speaking of favorites, since we mentioned Sean Springs, we got to bring Fred Smoot's boy onto the show to talk about some draft stuff. It's time for your can't miss moment, presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Command. Welcoming in Fred's best friend, other than Logan Paulson, Sean Springs, to the building. Sean, we have not had you on Command Center all off season long. So I got to ask you about the defensive backs. We brought in Will Harris. We brought in Jonathan Jones, guys with some playoff experience. Jonathan Jones with 2 Super Bowls. How excited are you to see what they can add to this Commanders secondary?
Well, first of all, our secondary, as you know, at the end of the year looked just excellent, with those guys. But bringing in Jones and Harris, when you think about, Lattimore and Harris played together in New Orleans, and Jones is a corner that's just, I think he's a tough physical kid. He can run, he can do it all. I had a chance to watch him in New England last year. But I just like our secondary in a whole. They bringing in the right pieces. Adam and Dan have continued to bring in guys that fit their system. So I'm pretty excited about our secondary.
Yeah, I mean, those were some exciting additions, but obviously with the draft coming up here, Sean, one of the things that's exciting is the opportunity to add new talent. Obviously they're picking at 29. What's the direction you'd like to see them go there at 29?
Well, for me, it would be probably on the offense side of the ball. Who do you pick up? Probably somebody in the interior. I would like to see some type of lineman go. I'm all for adding more protection for Jaden. I would like to see him look at the interior line, maybe a guard or a tackle there late. For me personally, I think we've done a good job with the skill position all offseason and bringing in the guys we have now. It's about that roster on the offensive line.
Considering that you know nothing about the draft, I'm still going to ask you anyway. How do you feel about the group of defensive backs coming out this year? We got a lot of different defensive backs. You got some guys that's 6'3" that can run with the wind. You got some guys that's 5'10" that play in the slot. You got a lot of different variety, if you want to say, in the draft right now. And a lot of people think we might go corner or pass rusher. What do you think about the defensive backs in this draft this year? Tell me.
I think it's the best group of defense backs we've seen in a long time. I think, obviously, if you think about just obviously Travis Hunter, and you don't know what he could be. He's a highlight. He's a name that everyone is talking about that could be an all-pro soon you put him into a – but then you got Will Johnson, who missed a few games at Michigan. They say he had a foot injury, but that kid is – I mean, he kind of put me in the same mindset of Patrick Surtain, the second long athletic. He kind of reminded me of him. Then there's some late guys that, that you could pick up. I'm biased towards my Ohio State defensive backs. I've been watching the guys like Denzel Burke and those guys over there. It's going to be interesting to see if the Commanders, we decide to go as a defensive back or in the first round. I don't think we should, but I love this class of defensive backs. The safety and everybody's good. I mean, everybody's really, really good.
Sean, a couple of weeks ago, we all were sitting up here talking about having that pick in the first round at 29, and everybody's been saying that we kind of in a situation where you get the best guy available. You know what I mean? The best talent that's available there. You don't have to reach and go get anybody. Would you say if we get to our pick and there's no one up there that's, I guess you could say, sexy enough for what we need or to just add on as depth, do you see yourself, would you want to back out of it and get some more picks? Get some more picks, trade down a little bit? Like, how do you see things going? If you was the GM come a couple of weeks from now, sitting at 29th pick, you don't like the guys that's available, what you do?
It's hard to think that there wouldn't be somebody that's best available because I think this draft is deep with backs as well. I mean, there's a few backs that are like we talked about earlier, having like guys like Travion Henderson who could possibly fall to 29 or something like that, who's a game changer. But if we could get more picks, we've shown with this organization that we can draft pretty well deep in the draft. You might pick up some, third or fifth round that can actually play and make your team. So I'm always about building your team with draft picks, but it'd be hard to think there's not someone at 29th that we couldn't get. We talked about early in the offseason, maybe there's a back that may be sitting at 29 that we could get.
And Sean, let me elaborate on that a little bit because we do know that this is a very deep draft. And if we do stay at number 29, after you look at what we've done this free agency, where our team currently sits, what position do you want to see the Commanders fill in a couple weeks?
I just think, for me personally, I just think that it's always about the interior guys. It's always about the line. I really like our skill positions. I like our receivers. I like our defensive backs. I like the guys we drafted last year. It's hard to think, and we talked about it all year, that we were best rushing offense with the line, but you always can add more depth with that line. I really, really like it. I want to see something in the interior line, personally, for me.
Shout out to our guy, Sean Springs, man. I don't care what Fred says. You know your stuff, and we appreciate you dropping some game on us today. Now, if y'all miss Sean Springs, he will be with us on draft night, giving us lots more insight and showing that you know a lot more than our draft guru, Fred Smoot. Sean, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for taking the time, dog. Always great talking to Sean Springs. Now, from one great DB to another, because Fred Smoot gets jealous if Sean gets too much airtime, I'm going to send it over to my boy, Fred Smoot. It is time for Securing the W, presented by Hercules Fence. Security in every job. Take it away, Fred.
Thanks, Brian. And everybody likes to talk analytics. I like to talk Smoot-alytics. It's more into scouting these players than just looking at what they run in the 40 and looking at them at the combine. Guys, here goes my list right here of my predictions on what I think the team would do. What y'all guys think about it?
I'm gonna go before Lloyd because I know you guys, y'all the gurus. I'm gonna put it out there right now. When it comes to this draft, man, it's a couple of names that might pop up that I might want to ask questions. And I see one on your list. You got him at 61.
Yeah.
Running back out of Ohio State, Travion Henderson. Now, the question I asked you, and you kind of broke it down to me, but I want you to tell the audience why you feel this way. Yeah. What is it about this running back class that make you say that at 29, if Travion around, it's other guys like him that you don't need to reach or, go after a guy like that?
It's just so many running backs in this draft. When I say so many, I'm talking 15, 20, 25 deep. That forces me not to take somebody so high that I can get in the later round. So, and if I got a Travion Henderson here, and notice I got two running backs on this list, and I got it on there for a particular reason. It's just they're just so deep. I don't have the urgency at 29 to take one of them when it's less pass rushers and more running backs.
So I was gonna say contract value for edge, right? You want to get that guy that's gonna be making $30 million. It's a cost-controlled asset. But to me, Fred, I like the list, man. Love Jacob Harris. Love Brew McCoy in the 7th. I don't understand the two running backs. Talk me through it real quick.
Well, here we go. When I look at the team, I have to look at the existing roster before I look at who we bringing on to the roster. I got a Brian Robinson, the guy that's going to come up for a contract, and I have an older guy in Eckler. So I feel like if I'm going to lose two future running backs, I need to have two in the wing right there. And these two guys are so different. This guy is big. big and explosive. This guy is quick and home run, but they can get the things done that you want done. So yeah, I got 2 guys right there, 2 wide receivers, but I know this is the guy you really like right there.
Dude, that's my guy. That's my guy.
Yeah.
And again, Fred, I love this list. Love the guys you selected. I love the running back value conversation you just had. But let's go into the film room and talk about one of these guys that I think is really interesting in a little more detail.
Let's do it.
It's time for Draft Insights, powered by Microsoft Copilot. All right, so now I'm going to come down here, click on the Copilot, and I'm going to look up TreVeyon Henderson's measurements, right? And this is so important, especially for running backs, because they have minimum thresholds for most teams, right? So I need to know arm length, body weight, height, and just kind of get a feel for what the athlete looks like in the package that it's coming in, right? So when that happens, I can kind of say, hey, he's this type of player, he fits this type of mold. And when I look at these molds, I see, hey, he's 202 pounds, that's decent size at 5'10". He's got a wingspan of 6'4", so that's awesome for his height. He's a bigger body than his height would suggest. Love that, but this is only part of the picture, right? These measurements are only part of what makes him special. The thing that makes him truly special is his playmaking ability, which you can see on the film, so let's check that out. We can talk about the 40 all we want, Fred, but the thing that separates this guy right here, TreVeyon Henderson, from the other backs in this class is that he is an absolute playmaker, number 32 right here. And what he does so well, man, is he's able to catch the football out of the backfield, kind of like Christian McCaffrey a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little
Eckler, like Christian McCaffrey. And one of the things, it's like, he's a running back, sure, but his ability to do stuff like this, maximize your offense, find good matchups, get down the field, that's big time stuff.
So that labels him not a running back, but a weapon.
Yeah,
right?
So when you're taking 2 running backs in your mock draft, I'm like, well, hey, we got a weapon here, not necessarily a true running back.
Yeah.
And Sanders is more that traditional guy. This guy adds another element, adds a little seasoning to your offense, which you love, Tanner, right?
No doubt.
Yeah, and then so the other thing, you can use them multiple ways. We got a double backfield set here, and you think about how Cliff would use them, right?
Yeah.
Split backs, get 2 guys in the backfield. Love to see it. I see B-Rod right here, maybe.
Yeah, we did a lot of this last year.
A little bit of this right here.
Yep.
Get this little GT action downhill. Little zone read to the perimeter, and then we've got juice. We got guys that can win in space. That's a 10-yard gain right there.
Easy
something
money.
that's so low cost. It's so low cost to run that type of play. So not only can he catch the football, but I think he's a pretty gosh darn good runner. So we got another GT little counter here. This looks pretty muddy to me, man. It looks pretty muddy.
There's a lot of bodies in here.
You know what they always say, man? Sign of a good runner is hit the backside A-cap on a counter run. And where does he hit here, Tana? Backside A-cap.
Backside A-cap.
And he's got a little bit of scoot to him. Watch
A
out.
lot of scoop.
Yes, he does.
That was too easy right
Brought
there.
to you by Virginia, the state of Virginia right
where he's
here.
from?
And we've seen him do this all year long. Like, when you hesitate and get out of there like that, like, the one thing about running backs people never talk about, they talk about the 40, but they never talk about the lateral speed.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing about Saquon Barkley that makes him unstoppable to me is the way he can get in that A-gap and jump to the C-gap and get gone. This kid can do the same
And the
thing.
other thing, Tanner, that I love about running backs, Fred, also is the ability to make people miss. And watch our guy, number 37 here at the safety. He's got to make this tackle right here. And so when I can get my running back to the safety and he can do this.
It's that first step, bro.
Dude. Now,
Like,
listen,
when you have the first step that explosive like that, man, that's what sets you apart from other guys like you. Talk about all the running backs in this league. This is one of the things that's glaring to me that I love about this guy. That first initial step when he put that foot in the ground.
And he's a gentleman and a scoundrel. He's a scoundrel because he ran off on him. He's a gentleman because when he got in that hole and he seen that safety, he said, "Excuse me."
Excuse me.
He said, pardon me, I'm out. No doubt. Yeah, I love it. And again, like, he does it in multiple ways, right? So here we are in the jet sweep, little counter action here. Look at what this does to the defense. This is him right here, right here at the bottom. Look at the respect he's getting from this team because of the speed. So think about Cliff moving him, getting guys open down the field. Hey, quarterback doesn't, I like this. He says no. That's okay. We can get the ball to the check down. And he can make people miss and do some work here, right?
Right there. Like, that's what you want. Make something out of nothing. That was a nothing play. He turned it into a positive, not a red play.
And we've talked about his running ability, and it just shows up. Dirty runs, clean runs, the explosiveness that he brings to your offense is literally just tremendous, right?
Yes, man.
So Tanner, like I know this is your guy, and I see it. I think we all see it why he's your guy, because he is special, man. He can catch football, he can be explosive, he can add that element to your offense, and think about him and Jaden Daniels in the backfield together.
But the big question about him, can he tote the load? Is he a 20-plus carry guy? But you say you don't want him to be that. You want him to be a selective weapon.
I don't want him to be that either, because I think when you look at how we did things last year with Eckler and having him in the game at the same time with B-Rob, or vice versa, having one of those guys out the game, you just want him to be a special guy. The same thing he did in college, you can do that in this offense because that's what Cliff does. He gets what you do best and make you better at it.
And he gets a lot of comparisons to Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think about Jahmyr Gibbs early in his career. One of the things, only like 10, 15 touches a game, but they were able to maximize that explosiveness, and it makes the offense so much more dangerous. So again, Fred, I was giving you a hard time about the two backs, man, but I think he's not a back.
Yeah. He's a weapon.
He's a weapon.
He's
right?
a weapon, yeah.
And so again, just one of the many guys that the Commanders could potentially take there at 29 or 61. Love explosive playmakers, and we love Travion Henderson.
Shout out to Logan and the guys. Can't wait to see who we add in. Now, one guy we're happy to have back in the fold is wide receiver Noah Brown, a.k.a. Mr. Hail Noah. Let's take a look at some of the numbers he put up last year in the burgundy and gold. It's time for your winning numbers, presented by the Maryland Lottery. Please play responsibly. Now, Noah Brown ended his 7th NFL season with 35 receptions, 453 yards, and a touchdown. We all know what that touchdown was after missing the last 7 games due to injury. We cannot wait to have Noah Brown back in the building. Can't wait to see what he does in year 8. We actually got to sit down with Noah after he put pen to paper on the Next Man Up podcast. Let's take a listen to why he came back to the Commanders.
And Noah, you earned that belief, not only from this coaching staff, not only from the ownership, but from this fan base, man. I know you don't like talking about the Hail Noah, so we ain't gonna talk about that. However, when you have a play that's named after you, when you do things like this on the field, when you make it to the conference championship, this fan base is going to latch on and they're going to love you. Can you talk about the love you've received from the burgundy and gold fans before we let you go?
Oh, yeah, no, it's been nothing short of amazing. From even before that play, from my first game against the Giants, I felt the love from Commanders fans, and it's remained constant throughout the whole entire season. And, big reason for our success is the fans, and we're looking forward to seeing them again on September.
A big reason for our success was also your play, Noah Brown, man. We are so excited to have you here. Again, brother, congratulations, man. You earned it. What a big moment.
Yes,
I'm going to let you get up out of here and celebrate my guy. And good luck this offseason, man. Can't wait to see you back, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Commanders family, our next man up. We brought him back. You know him as Hail Noah. Noah Brown in the building. Congratulations, brother. Thank you for your time, man.
Appreciate you.
So excited to have a guy like Noah Brown back in the building. You can catch our full interview on the Next Man Up podcast. We drop interviews every day of the week. If we got a new free agent, if we got a special guest, if we have a legend, we make sure you hear from them. Then, of course, our flagship podcast, the Command Center podcast, with Logan Paulson, Santana Moss, and Fred Smoot. That is every Wednesday, each and every week. Then Ticket to the Draft podcast. That is on Mondays. And, of course, Get Loud podcast. That is on Fridays now with Fred Smoot and Mike Jenks. We got a lot of content for you, so you don't want to miss a thing. Now, Alex Ovechkin passed Wayne Gretzky on Sunday to become the all-time goal-scoring leader in NHL history with 895 career goals. He got that in their loss to the New York Islanders. Now, the previous record stood for 31 years, fellas. A huge moment in sports, especially DC sports.
Yeah.
And Fred teed it off the top.
Yeah.
He asked the question, is Ovi the best DC sports athlete ever? That's across all sports.
Yeah.
Fellas, we've had some time to think about it. Now it's time to answer. Fred, since you posed the question, I'm going to let you go first, brother.
I'm going to answer this like my 7-year-old cousin would when we were 7. and I asked him a question, he'd be like, show is. This man, right here, broke a record that nobody ever thought was going to be broken. And forget just the 895. He can hit 900. Like this is
1,000 to
the longevity.
Yeah.
The scoring on average per year. The way he attacks the net. The physicality he plays with.
Yeah.
The alcohol he drinks. It's just everything about him.
Yeah.
And you know I'm a big Dale Green guy.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Dale Green guy. West Sun Soldiers. It's just tons of dudes here. Mm-hmm. This is the man. And I'm sorry, Baltimore. I know y'all ain't part of the DMV, so I was going to throw Cal Ripken in here like the Iron Man. But guess what? This is the dude.
Yeah.
This is Mr. DC Sports right here. The great 8. You can do all that great hate. You want to, the great 8.
He's fired up.
That's tough.
He's fired up. I think it's interesting because you're like, oh man, is Darryl Green on the, but he's like one of maybe 2 guys in NHL history that you'd put on that Mount Rushmore, like one of the 2 best players all time. Yeah. And so it's an unfair comparison, I think. And so yes, he is a very unique, special person to have in the DMV. And Fred, you're a little sweaty now, but you could have said it better myself, man. He's special.
You know, Fred probably do all the research on who else was around. That's my guy. I mean, I'm gonna go straight to it. Not only because I got a chance to witness it. We know him personally. When you think about our careers in football, how brutal the sport is, how rough it is on our body.
Dude.
This guy played 82 games a season. He's only missed 35, I believe, in 20-something years.
Just had a broke leg this year.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so for you to be able to only miss 30, you hear basketball players that's getting, nights off in double playing nights, or whatever you want to call it. This guy's a hockey player. You know, kind of the stress of skating, getting ran into. Hey,
man,
should I say more?
Hey, yo, he admitted to it. Listen, I done been to a game. He ain't even got a stick. He just skating. just looking for people. He's different. He's different.
He is definitely different. And fellas, my favorite part about all this, it feels like DC Sports is really back. The Wizards are just a lottery pick away from changing things around.
Sports equinox.
It's a beautiful thing. We've seen what Jaden Daniels been able to do. Now the Caps are headed to the playoffs. So we want to wish you guys good luck in the playoffs. And to many more goals for Ovi right here. I'm Brian Copeland Jr. here with Santana Moss, Fred Smoot, and Logan Paulson. This is Command Center. We'll see y'all next week. We're just 1 week away from the NFL draft. Commanders fan, make sure you leave in the comments who y'all think is the best DC sport athlete of all time. Do you agree with us? Or do you think it's Fred Smoot? Or maybe it's good brother Sean Spree. Shout out to him for joining. We will see y'all next week. It's almost draft time, baby. We out.
The Great Eight!